Hello everyone, this is Dr. Reena Sharma, co-founder in Shandi. And this is my spouse and co-founder in Shandi, Dr. Gaurav Sharma.
Hi.
Shandi is not just another plant-based meat company to produce plant-based meat alternate or few ready-to-eat food like burger, patties or meatballs. We have created meat substitute made entirely from plants which can be used by food producers around the globe to produce different types of food, so that every meat consumer can reduce the meat consumption without compromising in their taste and health. We come from a middle class background in India where a large part of the population is generally vegetarian. This is in part because average spend on food is less than $10 a day, so meat is often beyond their means. But when we moved to Singapore, we found that vegetarian food was less common except the same Indian style dishes over and over. So we cook most of our meal and try to do some experiment with plant-based meat alternative. One day we bought plant-based chicken available in market and we tried to make the chicken curry as we would do with the animal meat. The problem is it did not taste, cook or behave like meat. When we tried to boil it, it simply fell apart just like the tofu or soy would do.
Because it cannot be cooked like a meat, we cannot call it an alternative meat. They are simply alternate of certain foods like patties and burger. And probably because companies are trying to mimic certain foods, not really the meat, in the form of chicken breast or chicken leg or chicken muscles. This limits the diversity of the food and will not be able to replace the meat at a large scale. On the other hand, to mimic these plant-based foods, companies has to use thousands of artificial and GMO ingredients, which defy the purpose of the plant-based meat, which is natural and healthy.
So we set out to solve this problem, and that's what our company Shandi does.
In September 2019, we incorporated Shandi in Singapore using $30,000 from our savings. But this path wasn't easy because making a tasty burger is merely a cooking. But developing a product which can be cooked just like meat is a huge scientific mountain to climb. As a matter of fact, meat is not a food, it's an ingredient. And most dynamic ingredient, the same piece of meat can be cooked into thousands of different recipes around the world. But developing a plant-based substitute of meat which delivers a distinguished taste and texture depending on the methods of cooking like boiling, frying or roasting is daunting. To do so, we use our flavor chemistry and molecular biology expertise. So first, we identify the molecules which are responsible for dynamic flavor in the meat. Then, we identify the plant sources of those molecules and then isolate them using a technology which doesn't destroy or modify those delicate molecules. Then we work on combining different plant proteins to deliver a complete amino acid profile similar to the meat so that we can deliver not only the taste but the functional properties of the meat also. This whole scientific research was fascinating, but our limited capital was just enough to buy some raw materials and some equipment. So we have to rely heavily on the friends and family to support us with the laboratory time, the research facilities as well as the ingredients. To access those facilities, we have to fly from Singapore to India every Friday via Malaysia using a budget airlines, working there 48 hours straight in the laboratory and coming back on Sunday night to Singapore. This was all tiring. But the bigger challenge was to get a dynamic and perfect texture of the plant-based meat. So we have to create our own extruder system from scratch. All this was hectic and tiring. But using our 17 years of experience in global food innovation companies and hundreds of failed experiments, we finally could produce a flavor base which is dynamic. It behaves like meat, it changes the way it is being cooked, and seeing that first whole muscle drumstick coming out from the extruder, that was amazing, and our solution was completed. The bigger challenge was to explain the magnitude of the work we have completed to the food industry, which was still learning the basics of the plant-based burgers and patties. But we were fortunate to be introduced to a retired professor in food technology who is advisor at Brink. He was stunned by hearing what we have developed. And within days, we received our seed funding offer from Artisan Investment. Using that seed funding, we completed our prototype development. And once we brought our prototype to the food industry, and the consumers, we got a huge traction from around the world, from small restaurants to the large food manufacturing companies, as well as the investor communities around the world.
Plant-based meat market is growing very fast. Every food producers, families cooking at home, small food stalls, food manufacturer, food catering services, everyone wants to have plant-based products. After COVID, more people have started to cook at home, but they don't have a meat substitute which can be cooked like meat. We are looking for partners who can support us to make our products synonyms of meat, and we will make sure that in next 5 years, every food menu will have two options. One is the animal meat and second is the plant-based meat. And we expect that more and more people will choose the plant-based meat products.